this whole thing of me going into public spaces, and like I think the anxiety attacks just started to get worse and worse, leading to panic attacks.
There's people all around us going through anxiety, going through depressive symptoms, especially from last year. And it's really the need of the hour to allow that safe space for people to at least acknowledge what they're going through and not shame them for it.
I just spent the entire night in the bathroom of the bar. These symptoms can seem really trivial to somebody. Keep feeling tired is normal and feeling demotivated is normal, but I think people have to realize that what part of the spectrum it is on. It does take time to find the right therapist, but you can't stop. We talk about it and then we realize that there's so many others out there who are feeling the same things, and that just kind of makes you feel better. I think realizing that you're not alone in this.
Hi everyone, welcome to Yellow Door Talks. I am Sonam Mahajan, a mindfulness teacher and life coach. If you haven't already and you're new here, do check out the channel, and if it adds value for you, do subscribe, hit the bell icon. Now today I'm in conversation with Shereen Bharwani. Shereen is the creative director of Love and Other Bugs, a fashion, beauty and lifestyle portal that was founded in 2014. She studied at the London College of Fashion and started her career as a celebrity fashion stylist for some of Bollywood's big banner films. As one of India's top digital influencers, she was the only blogger from India to be part of the Maybelline IT Girls Global Campaign in 2016, as well as the Tommy Hilfiger Global Influencer Campaign at New York Fashion Week. Among other brands such as Maybelline, Burberry, Anamika Khanna, Manish Malhotra, she's also collaborated with Nike for their Bleed Blue campaign during the Cricket World Cup. Join me in welcoming Shereen to the conversation.
Hi Shereen, welcome to Yellow Door Talks. It's awesome to be talking to you here on video. I know we've been exchanging a lot over the last few weeks on mental health.
Thank you so much, Sonam. Yellow Door Talks, you said, and I just see this yellow background. It's like I'm branded this for this.
Yes.
But no, I'm so happy to be here. I'm super excited. I just love the fact that I've made some genuine connections on Clubhouse, and you being one of those, and just the entire club, the Mental Health India Club. I've just been such an active, listener and speaker in that club. So I'm happy to make those connections, and I'm happy to meet you and to be here.
Wonderful. Same here. It's been really nice to, I think, listen to you, and it's been inspiring that you've been using the platform that you have to talk about your experiences, and I think just the normalizing the conversation around mental health. So I thought this could be useful. Of course, we've been having conversations in pockets real time, but putting it out on a podcast and YouTube format, possibly can reach out to a lot more people.
I think it's amazing that it's amazing that you are getting people on board and sharing people's journeys and their voices, and it'll definitely help people. I think talking about it is the only thing we can do really to kind of break the stigma. It's up to us. It's up to our generation now to sort of break the stigma and talk about it more openly. And like you said, normalize it. That's the best that we can do to make people feel comfortable enough to talk about it and express themselves.
Absolutely. Shereen, let's start with, maybe what was your journey like with mental health growing up and with everything that you do? And that'll then lead us to understanding perhaps why you feel strongly about talking about it, normalizing it, and just bringing light to this as a subject.
So, I mean, it's, my journey or my story would go way back to when I was a child. And I think most people's, their journey would go back to it, because there's so much from whatever I've learned through therapy. There's so much that boils down to childhood and upbringing and childhood experiences. So mine also would start off from there. When I look back at it now, of course, when I was younger, I had no idea. You don't even think about these. I didn't know what the word anxiety or what the word depression was, or anything. So I just, now when I look back at it, I realize that I grew up a very moody, depressed kid. I was always very, very antisocial, very introverted, and I just thought that's just me being shy. And which led me to resent people within social circles and everything. So I just was not a social person. And even as I started when in those so this is when I was younger, and as a teenager, I just even though I tried to sort of fit in, but it never really happened. I never fit in enough. I just, now when I look back, I remember just feeling really anxious. I think I used to have like mini like anxiety attacks every time I had to go to a nightclub or like go to a party, just because I was not comfortable. Like internally, I wanted to be there, but like physically, my body was just like giving me all of these signals that you're not comfortable here. Which is why then I calmed down on going also, because it just wasn't a great experience for me. So it's only when once I got married and once I started blogging, and I started to be able to communicate with people and build connections on Instagram and on social media, is that I started realizing that I'm not an introvert, and maybe I'm not like this reserved, like held back person. That I have hints of it, but I do enjoy connecting with people and I do enjoy making conversation with people, but as long as I am in my comfort zone. So the series of events did lead me to go and seek help, and I'm so lucky that I come from that I had my husband and his family. They're super supportive and so like progressive. Like I wouldn't have been able to do that, right, if my father-in-law recommended me to go to a psychologist that he went to. So that just made me feel really comfortable going there, so there was no hiding,
Yeah.
or anything. So I went and sought help and got all of my diagnosis, and realized that I'm going through depression, severe anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder, OCD, and a couple of other things, which I'm getting help for. And I think that's the best thing that could have happened for me, because I feel like life just it changed. Like I just feel like I'm a different person in the last 2-3 years.
Yeah. And you talked about some of these threads showing up as you were growing up. So is this the first time that you sort of sought this help 2-3 years ago? And what triggered that? What was the understanding around it? Because more often than not, a lot of people are just lost with when to seek help. What is kind of normal, what is a regular queasiness or nervousness that we tend to feel, while what might be actual anxiety, or what depressive symptoms could look like. What was your journey with differentiating or making sense of some of this? Did you look up information, do some research, and then what prompted you to take the step to actually then seek help?
So for me, yes, like there were 2 or 3 things that started to look to me like this is not normal now. One of them being this whole thing of me going into public spaces, and like I think the anxiety attacks just started to get worse and worse, leading to panic attacks. Which just there was one specific incident where I was in a really crowded space, surrounded by friends, but I mean, obviously there were triggers at that point, which I didn't realize that there's certain things that have triggered this, and I just spent the entire night in the bathroom of the bar, because I did not want to come out, and I realized at some point, this is not normal. Like, Shireen, this is not okay. You cannot just like these like sensations that are going through your body, like the physical symptoms of an anxiety attack, feeling like I can't breathe, feeling like I'm going to throw up or pass out. These few things that I was feeling, and then all of these things also led to these feelings of severe demotivation, not wanting to get out of bed. Literally, like I used to just I remember this for like years, just telling my husband that I'm tired, like I'm just really really tired, and it was fine for like a few months, but then when it extends to a period of like a year, and you're just like, I'm tired, and he's like, how can you be tired all the time? So I obviously that I looked all of these symptoms up. I looked up the anxiety symptoms. I just looked up like feeling like I'm passing out, and feeling like internal shivering, all of these things. I looked them up and I saw the word anxiety, and I'm like, okay, possible. Like maybe I never even, depression is something I never even thought of. I just thought, okay, fine, maybe I have a little bit of an anxiety issue. So I could probably get some, medical help for that. And there must be a pill. I spoke to a couple of friends, who said, there are enough like for anxiety. We give kids and all also these pills. So you'll be fine with that. So that's literally, once I Googled the word anxiety and that came up, that's what led me to go and seek help. But, all of the other things that were a part of the diagnosis, I had no idea that, it had gotten this bad. And like literally I remember the doctor just like calling up and saying that you should come in ASAP. And I think you need to get on medication ASAP. So that just like shook me, like, okay, fine. This is a little more than I expected. But no, I'm glad that happened.
Yeah, yeah. And it's fantastic that you talk about this openly, and you're also making it, you're speaking about this through the work that you do, you're speaking about it through safe spaces. uh, what do you want to reach out to people with as you normalize this dialogue and as you put out your own personal journey? What are your intentions around it?
So, I mean, my intentions are as simple as it can get better. You can get better. You don't have to go on living like if you are feeling the same, if you are feeling these symptoms. First of all, just getting people to realize the symptoms for themselves or for others. Which and the thing is, these symptoms they can seem really trivial to somebody. Keep feeling tired is normal and feeling demotivated is normal, but I think people have to realize that what part of the spectrum it is on. If you're demotivated, like, is it here, like, or is it here, like, what part of the spectrum is it on? So just getting people to realize the symptoms and then realizing that life can get better, and that it did for me. Like, it's literally like a success story that I want to share with people. Keep this, I went through these things. It was pretty shitty for me, and it was like there were terrible instances that happened with me, with PTSD, and everything is also a part of my diagnosis, and it definitely can get better. So I just want people to realize that they don't have to go on living in this misery, and they can get help and just be in a much better place. And the second thing is, just um, even if it's a short term thing that somebody's feeling, just making them realize that they're not alone in it and they're not the only ones feeling the symptoms, and there's nothing wrong with them per se. There are so many others out there. Like, if we talk about it, then we realize that there's so many others out there who are feeling the same things, and that just kind of makes you feel better, I think, realizing that you're not alone in this.
Yeah. And of course, you're using, in this case, social media as a tool to get this message out, to reach a number of people, audiences that are already connected to you, in various ways through the community that you've built. Talk to me about, and this tends to come up a lot when you're in the public eye, you're a public figure, an influencer. Uh, does that impact your mental health? What's your personal journey with that bit like?
So, I'd be lying if I say it does not affect your mental health, because it does. But at least for me, like, I can't speak for anybody else. I can give you my personal opinion. For me, it's stress that I can handle. It's stress. Like, it's for me, it's a good form of stress. It kind of motivates me to do better. Like, if there are days that I feel like I'm not doing good enough, because all our work is just out there for people to judge, right? So if there are days I feel like, oh my god, like, I'm not doing enough, or like other people are just doing so much more than me, it kind of drives me to do better, and to create more. So it doesn't, it's not impacting me in a very, very negative way. It is difficult for sure to be out there, to be judged by people all the time, but like, I mean, for me, it's not that bad for me. Like, I can deal with that. And also, the fact that I feel like I found my voice through social media, just being so closed and being so introverted and just like so disconnected for people my whole life. Like, I don't have all of those memories of being a teenager and going out and partying and having all these experiences. Like, I hated school and I hated college. I didn't like any of that, right? So I don't have all of those memories. So I feel like for me, Instagram and social media has given me a voice. It's given me a platform to be able to express myself comfortably, be able to share with people, like, this little community that I've built, share my victories, share my losses. So yeah, that it's a platform for me to express.
That's wonderful. It's great to hear that it's had a positive impact on you in that sense, and of course, like you described, there are it's the other sides of it also come along with it, and perhaps in your case, that hasn't been such a challenge to manage.
That has, yeah, but I mean, it's just, the thing is, it's the I think also it's the community that you've built. And maybe I've, touch wood, I feel like I've been lucky enough to build a community that has been super supportive. Like, when I did come out about my mental health journey, I was so nervous. I'm like, shit, like, I thought for months, right? Like, I had my write up and all, it was there for months, of one of those things that I just journaled and wrote. I like, one day maybe I'll talk to somebody about it. And then like one day, like it was, I remember I got in touch with this organization called Invisible Illness, and they, she was a friend of mine, and she knew that I was going for therapy and stuff, so she like, would you want to talk about it? And I'm like, you know what, fine, like let me go ahead and share. And I just posted this story in 3 parts, and I had no idea how people, like my family didn't know at that time, right? So I had no idea how people are gonna like react to it, or like are they gonna put me in this like category, or in this box of like somebody who's just so and so. But no, I got so much support, I got so much love, and I got so many messages saying that this has just encouraged me to speak up. And you know what, I'm feeling the same way. Oh my god, like everything that you mentioned, I'm feeling the same. And just at least that maybe hopefully they'll go and get the right kind of help. And even if I can help one person or two people by talking about it, that that's great then.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you seen that shift around you? Do you feel people are more open now when you have conversations with not just people of your community, but even in the industries that you do work in the fashion and lifestyle space? Do you see people being more open about these challenges? Because, like you said, I think a lot of people are going through it, and then with one person speaking up, it gives the rest the permission to speak as well. So, what's that been like?
I definitely think that people are talking about it. Not, I mean, because of there are a lot of people talking about it now, so that's encouraging more and more people to at least have the conversation openly. But I still do think that people are not open to speaking about their medical sort of clinical journey through it. A lot of people are comfortable talking about bad days and self love, and the more things that are easier to talk about, understandably, of course. But talking about therapy, or any form of alternative therapy, even or even medication, that's something that's not spoken. That's something that people refrain from talking about, or even going and getting that kind of help. Like everyone's okay to like go to a workshop, like a 2-day workshop on self love to improve mental well-being. So I think mental well-being is being spoken about a lot, but mental health is still, I think we can talk about it a lot more.
Yeah, and definitely, I think, like you're saying, because a lot of it is preventive as well, and a lot of work is being done in that space. And, there's that level of shame associated with it, or take up associated with it is lesser, and then anything that becomes where there's a diagnosis involved, or medication involved, or an illness involved. I think that's where we need to really remove the stigmas, and we need to remove the shame associated, or the judgment associated. And there's so many layers to this, right? Intrinsically, how we tend to view some of these things, and how can we then start talking about this a lot more. But
Yeah.
again, like we see this, right? Even like you and I are talking about this, there's so many people who've spoken openly about their mental illnesses, yet there seems to be so much more that's needed to be done for more and more people to get comfortable with just, I think it's become it's an everyday thing. There's people all around us going through anxiety, going through depressive symptoms, especially from last year. And it's really the need of the hour to allow that safe space for people to at least acknowledge what they're going through, and not shame them for it, or not, again, the toxic positivity stuff around just having, asking them to change it into something that's positive or feel good and all of that. So absolutely.
And I think more than the person going through it themselves, what's very important, and what really helped me also was, I think if you have the right support around you,
Yeah.
that is because that's where the shame comes in from, right? Like if your family is only not okay with you going and seeking help or getting therapy, or telling them that you're on medication or whatever, then that's where the shame comes in from, some of it. So if you have supportive people around you, I think educating people, even not only for themselves, but just like if if your child, or if your husband, or if your friend, if you're seeing somebody go through this, just be supportive, just be there. There's nothing else. You don't need to like tell them, oh, be strong, or you'll get through it, and you're stronger than that, all of these like trigger sentences that are not supposed to be
The
said.
advice around it, yes. So,
Yeah,
it's
just
interesting. Tell me what, because you've had a successful experience with this, where family was supportive. Describe what that support looks like. So someone in their family, if they're going through something, what is it that they can do right? Because you experienced it in a positive manner.
yeah. So I think one thing is, what really, like, just what helped me and made it easier was my family looking for the right psychologists for me. So it was like they weren't like just feeling sad for me or being like, okay, fine, you go through your thing. They were actively sort of investing in getting me the right help in a very practical like way. It wasn't like emotional. Nobody was worried about me. Like they were like, oh my god, what has happened? So that overreaction that people, especially families, and it's very natural, right? Because you with family, it's a little gray area because you don't want the other person in the family to be going through that. So you're just like, oh my god, what happened? What can I do to help? None of that. It was just a very normal conversation every time we had it. So like they helped me get numbers, they helped me get my appointments. My husband was just super, like, just very very normal about it. He didn't ask me unnecessary questions. He didn't, every time I came back from therapy, he didn't like go like, what was your conversation, what did you talk about? He kind of just let me be and let me go through the process. My sister was also a very big part of this. She while I was going through all of this, she did her own part by just when I was not being able to go for events, and when I had to, like, there was a stage where I had to like just cut off from people for a while. She sort of went in place of me, just made excuses for me if I couldn't show up at a meeting. So she did her part by just doing that. So I think it's these smaller things that you do. You don't have to show over love and over affection. You just have to just think of it as a very normal thing, and like that's why I keep saying normalize it, like that it's okay that you're going through it, and I'm there for you if you need, but don't like push too much and don't overreact.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
In either way,
So
negative, positive way, just being normal, like you said.
exactly, that's just what like worked for me,
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely. And you brought this up in terms of looking for the correct therapist or psychologist. Was that a challenge for you? A number of people feel they need to try and find the right fit. A question that often comes up. What was your experience?
So I honestly, I have a lot to say about that, because this is something that whoever I've also encouraged to go and just like go talk to somebody at least. Um, Most of them have come back saying that, yeah, I did one session and I'm good, or I did one session and it did not work for me.
Mm.
And I'm just like, okay, so this is the example that I gave, that therapy, talk therapy, or cognitive behavioral therapy, or any other form of alternative therapy is like working out, right? You can't just go for one gym class and be like, I'm done, or like, I can't do it. If you want to see results, you have to push from you have to push yourself, and you have to sort of commit to this life change, and go, you regularly, go weekly, go monthly. Only then will you actually see results. And your therapist is not going to come, and a lot of people also expect therapists to be like their best friends, and they're going to follow up with me and like care about you. No, they are doctors in a way, or they are professionals, and they are available when you call them. So these are like feedbacks that I've got. Like I just feel like I feel like she didn't like care enough. And she never called me back after that. Like, she's not supposed to call you back. You're supposed to call her, right? Or him, whatever. So I think it does take time to find the right therapist, but you can't like stop. Like, if you find, like, I went like the first two before I actually got my family to get me my family's the doctor's number. I went through 2 3 shitty ones. They were terrible experiences, but I didn't stop there. I kind of just, that time, of course, I was so driven to like making myself better. I'm like, I have to get better no matter what. So there were two terrible experiences that I had. I just did not connect with the people that I went to. The advice that they give was just all over the place. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. So it takes time. You can get lucky in your first time, but you might have to go through one or two or three to find somebody who you can connect with. And you have to make that commitment yourself to go back to them and to seek help. Like, you can't expect it to be coming from them.
Yeah, taking that accountability for your progress.
Yeah.
And of course, I think there's that level of support that's needed initially in getting you into that rhythm, because it is hard, like you were describing. You don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to take those additional steps. And yeah, I think that fit has to happen with the right person. Yeah, absolutely.
It does. And it can take time. So you can't like give up. You just have that. That's why I use the word commit. You have to just commit to getting better. And that's something that only you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Shereen. This has been awesome, very insightful. To your journey and understanding how you went through this. And I think the intention is again not to give advice, not to say that this is the only way of doing it. I think this is your unique journey as you've experienced it, what's worked for you in the environment and the family that you have. And yeah, to anybody who could take off even a line from this, the intention is just to put this out and have them benefit. Thank you so much, Shireen.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I hope I gave some useful like insight. I mean, I just rambled on about my journey, but I hope that was useful, and I hope it can sort of resonate with anybody and help anyone out. But it's great that you're having these conversations with people. Thank you so much, Sonam. Thank you for having me here.